Welcome, Darklings, to a world where happily ever after is just a myth. This is Fairytale Felonies. Once upon a time, there was a handsome prince everyone loved and trusted, but he deceived them all. Every kingdom tells itself stories about light, stories in which heroes are born with sunlight in their veins, and monsters lurk far away, in the shadows that no one dares enter. The heroes are born with sunlight in their veins, and monsters lurk far away, in the shadows that no one dares enter. The people of Burlingtonia believed in such a story. In Burlingtonia, the story belonged to Prince Theodane. Theodane, Ted for short, was golden as the morning itself. He smiled like dawn breaking over a winter forest, and when he laughed, even the most exhausted hearts in the castle stirred with hope. He rescued kittens from the tallest branches, spoke in clever riddles to diplomats, and carried himself as though the air itself bent to his will. Bards sang his name, mothers whispered it to their children, strangers travelled from distant lands, just to glimpse his hair and his jewel-like eyes. When in doubt, trust Theodane, they murmured, as though the world itself might crumble otherwise. And yet, every mirror eventually cracks. Behind the gleaming facades of Burlingtonia, whispers began to grow like black ivy. Doors locked in the dead of night, chambermaids given coins that would silence them until they vanished, a lady-in-waiting who fell from the North Tower and lived forever without explanation. And still, the kingdom laughed. Gossip, they called it. Jealousy, envy, harmless tales to accompany tea. Prince Ted's smile never faltered, until the day the jeweler found the velvet box. It was not gold or sapphire that lay inside, but teeth, human teeth, arranged with obsessive care like a string of tiny pale moons. And in that moment, the prince's smile no longer seemed like sunlight. It seemed hungry. Prince Ted had always been perfect, but perfection is a story. Stories are tools, and the boy had been building his story since the day he was born. He was said to have recited epic poems at 5, debated policy with ministers at 10, and saved his cousin from drowning at 14, a feat celebrated in marble and memory. His mother died giving him life, and the court spun it into legend. The boy stole breath from death itself. Every act of heroism, every gesture of kindness, was not merely recorded but polished, rehearsed, framed for the kingdom to adore. Psychologists might say he was constructing a pedestal. Mythmakers would call it survival. Theodane simply called it life. By 16, he had mastered appearances. Acts of benevolence were executed like delicate choreography. He fed the hungry, but billed the treasury thrice over. Painters captured the most sympathetic angles of his gaze. A young page named Garrett noticed barrels of grain leaving the palace under moonlight. He asked questions. Ted smiled and told him, "Curiosity is a wonderful quality in a scholar. In a page, it is dangerous." Garrett vanished shortly after, accused of petty theft, and sent to fight in a war he would not survive. The kingdom called it justice. Ted called it inevitability. He was 19 when the mask began to slip in public. A masquerade, a baron's daughter, a balcony. Fireworks flared. In the pale light, his charm fell away. Eyes like dark water caught hers, and she saw the glint of teeth that should never have been human. She fled. He smiled for the courtiers. "Confusion," he said, "caused by too strong wine." The kingdom forgave. Theodane had learned early that stories protect. Truth was a liability. Burlingtonia itself seemed to conspire with him. Royalty was not government but liturgy, and liturgy punishes heresy. Captain Theron found a finger under the chapel tiles, a ring still on it, a scullery maid's finger. He reported it. The advisor said nothing. Theron was demoted to muck-out stables. The message was clear. See no evil, and your head will remain on your shoulders. And so they continued to bow, to gift, to pretend. The kingdom was his altar, and he the high priest of his own devotion. By 25, Theodane's actions became darker still. A visiting diplomat's daughter, auburn-haired, fair, was charmed and led into the night. Not to lions, not to the stables, but to a hidden carriage where silk cords waited. He hummed a lullaby as the final act unfolded, noting everything with the cold curiosity of a scholar. He added a molar to the velvet box, drawing her face in leather-bound pages. Each victim was catalogued, each scream measured, each death logged with precision. And yet even the most careful predators slip. Lila, a small seamstress, survived. He had miscalculated the locket around her neck. She crawled through thorns and briars to safety, and when she spoke, the kingdom had no choice but to listen. Scribes spread her story, and the pedestal wobbled. The kingdom began to see the cracks. Once the first cracks appeared, the avalanche could not be stopped. Carpentry plans revealed soundproof chambers. Guards broke their silence about erased patrol routes. Bones were discovered under the chapel floor. 23 skulls, arranged to mirror the royal crest, gleamed like pale moons beneath the earth. The geometry of horror was undeniable. Even the most loyal courtiers could not spin the story. For the first time, Prince Ted was simply a man atop a mountain of the dead. During the trial, his journals were unveiled. Meticulous, clinical, obsessive. Ratings of pliability, scream quality, post-mortem warmth. One entry noted the murder of Alara with the detached precision of a scientist recording an experiment. Psychologists called it masterful psychopathy. The kingdom called it a nightmare. Ted smiled as the pages were read aloud, as if charisma alone could undo the evidence. The judge sentenced him to hang. Burlingtonia's parliament commuted it to life in the tower where he had performed his cruelties, but he was found dead mere days later, in a bed of blood. The locked door could only mean he died by his own hand, but all who knew him said he was too narcissistic to take his own life. He died, unhappily ever after. The kingdom changed. Royal immunity ended. Crime reporting became mandatory. Palace staff rotated to prevent secrets from nesting. Tourism fell. Bards wrote warning songs instead of love songs. Parents abandoned the name Theodane for something humbler. Yet memory lingers stubbornly. Survivors still limp, bones still emerge after heavy rains, and every so often a tarnished button or a small tooth surfaces in the royal garden, a silent rebuke to the living. The pedestal, cracked but unbroken, remains in the square. Children picnic there. Teachers speak of charm as camouflage, of monsters hidden behind the brightest smiles. And if you think this is just a story to pass the hours, well, listen closely. The next time someone smiles too easily, speaks too perfectly, shows you exactly what you wish to see, remember Prince Ted. Remember the teeth beneath the velvet. Ask questions. Trust your unease, because wolves do not come announcing themselves. They arrive as shepherds, as princes, as sunlight. And if this tale unsettles you even a little, remember that sharing it is the safest way to keep your own shadow in check. Tell it to someone else. Whisper it to the wind. In the telling, you may be the hero this story never had. If you enjoyed this tale, please like, subscribe, and join our family of fairy tale felons.